Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Shri Radha Madhava ki jai. Prabhuji, Haribo. Could you just give me this day, please? Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So we'll read 2 verses today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtapresha Badhyeshu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. So we'll read today from the third continuation, reading from the 3rd canto, 23rd chapter, verses 34 and 35. So how do we, I just read 34 for myself, is that how it works? Yadā sasmāra ṛṣabham ṛṣīṇāṁ dayitam patim tatra cāste saha strībhir yatrāste sa Prajāpati. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When she thought of her great husband, the best of the sages, Kardama Muni, who was very dear to her, she, along with all other maidservants, at once appeared where he was. There's a mystical scene here now. She just thought about her husband and suddenly she appeared when he was. It's pretty handy craft to have. Purport. It appears from this verse that in the beginning Devahūti taught herself to be dirty and dressed in a very niggardly way. When her husband asked her to enter the lake, she saw the maidservants and they took care of her. Everything was done within the water, and as soon as she thought of her beloved husband Kardama, she was brought before him without delay. These are some of the powers attained by perfect yogis, they can immediately execute anything they desire. Hari Hari Bol. Such a nice thing to have. We all like to have this at times, but most of us don't have it. And the next verse is verse 35. Bhartu purashtad atmanam. Bhartu purashtad atmanam. Stri sahasra vritam tada. Stri sahasra vritam tada. Nishamyatad yoga gatim. Nishamyatad yoga gatim. Samshayam pratyapadyata. Samshayam pratyapadyata. Bhartu purashtadatmanam. Stri sahasra vritam tada. Nishamyatad yoga gatim. Samshayam pratyapadyata. Please. Ladies. Bhartu of her husband, Purastat, in the presence, Atmanam, herself, Stri Sahasra, by 1,000 maids, Vritam, surrounded, Tada, then, Nishamya, seeing, Tat, his, Yoga Gatim, yogic power, Samshayam Pratyapadyata, she was amazed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. She was amazed to find herself surrounded by 1,000 maids in the presence of her husband and to witness his yogic power. Purport. Devahūti saw everything miraculously done, yet when brought before her husband, she could understand it was all due to his great yogic mystic power. She understood that nothing was impossible for a yogi like Kardama Muni. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananchana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. These are some very amazing verses and very amazing things which we learn from Srimad Bhagavatam. From Srimad Bhagavatam we can learn all kinds of wonderful things. From how to live, how to die, how to meditate, how to have mystic powers, how to marry, how to expand yourself into 9 and have, whatever relationship with your wife. And so we can learn all kinds of wonderful things. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is a wonderful book. And Krishna is wonderful God. We in the West, we are, as Prabhupada says, the devotees are never proud. We are never proud, but we are proud only on one thing. Devotees are proud only on one thing, that we have such a wonderful master as Krishna. This is our pride. I have a Krishna as my master. So, first of all, what I wanted to speak, generally the topic today will be focusing our meditation. What is our meditation as devotees? What is our focus? Because nowadays there's so many different meditations and people meditate and think about certain things. But devotees have also meditation, means we are focusing on certain things. So this will be the topic of the day. So in the beginning, as Prabhu was giving me flower of the Prabhupada's water, I will speak about Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, there was a conversation in Los Angeles, of all places, 1976. And Prabhupada talked to an Indian lady. And she said, but there's some people who have a mystic cities. And she said, one who has attained these cities, these powers, they can harm humanity sometimes. We hear this Illuminati nowadays, there's people from behind in the gray, areas, that they're ruling the world, but whatever. So Prabhupada said immediately, he said, anything without devotion to the Lord is harmful to the humanity. Whether you have mystic powers, whether you don't have a mystic powers, everything is harmful to humanity. He said anything, either jnani or karmi or siddhi. And this is the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami, sakale ashanta. They're all ashanta, all disturbed, meaning they're all not, peaceful in the spiritual sense. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami, sakale ashanta. Krishna bhakta, nishkama. Krishna bhakta nishkama ateva shanta. The Krishna bhakta is actually the only one who is shanta, who is peaceful. So Prabhupada says anything without devotion. And why is it harmful? Because Prabhupada said this is harmful for the humanity. And then he explains why. It is harmful because all these things will keep them aloof from God. All these things will keep them aloof from God. And he said his mission is to be separated from God. So these mystic cities, or people have a different projects, or material projects. The people want to go, the Mars, the latest. There were some craters in the Mars. And this is all, the plan is to be separated from God, separate from Krishna. And he said, but actually his mission should be the other way around. His mission should be to go back home, back to Godhead. So therefore it is harmful. So I thought this is very nice. Srila Prabhupada, as always, explains, not just tells us, okay, this is the rule. You're from India, people, in many temples around the world now, many Indian boys are coming to the temple, and they used to rule. They used to flame and, all this. But they don't know why are they doing this. I talked to one devotee, and he said since he was young, they worship Durga, his whole family. And he said one day he realized, why am I doing this? And he asked his parents, why? And they said, we don't know. But we are doing this tradition, it's a tradition. We're doing this because we are Hindus and we are doing this. So Prabhupada actually not just gave us the rules. These are the 4 regulatory principles. If you want to be a Hindu, you have to follow the regular principles, no eggs. But Prabhupada explained also why. And explained, if you follow this, you will get this result. If you don't follow it, this will be harmful for you. And therefore Prabhupada gave this regulatory principles which we follow. Follow the instructions of the spiritual master. The first verse of the Nectar of Devotion. Vacha vega, manasa krodha vega, all this, you have to subdue yourself. Sometimes devotees said, I cannot stand that anymore, so many rules. But we actually have very few rules. Comparing to, I actually recently was researching something and I was reading about Ramanujacharya. And Ramanujacharya converted the actually very the person who was very much atheistic and whatever, so he converted him to become his devotee because he came from Brahmana family. He said, I offended you so much. Actually, this is the person who, his teacher who wanted to kill him, by the way. You know, he was a teenager, and he said, oh, he's a personalist, kill him. Imagine this, the mentality. And Ramanuja escaped for some reason. And then when he came back, you know, he became Ramanuja, the Acharya. And then his wife of the man, of his teacher, was urging, you know, sometimes wife know how to urge man, do this, you know, from the back. And then he said, what should I do? He said, take initiation from Ramanuja. He said, how can I take initiation from Ramanuja? He was my student in the school. So. And she said, no, he's a Paramahamsa, he's a special devotee, take initiation from him. So he went back and he asked for permission, please, I want to take initiation from you. Now Ramanuja was, of course, reluctant. You cannot give initiation to your guru, teacher. And anyways, he gave initiation. He said, I offended you so much. What remedies do you have for me as a punishment? So Ramanuja said, because you're born in a Brahmana family and you were my teacher, so for the teacher the punishment is very light, and your punishment will be to take sannyas and write a book about sannyas. Nice punishment, to take sannyas. Imagine somebody tells you your punishment, take sannyas, and you're like, oh my God. So he took sannyas and he wrote a book, and I actually tried to read this book and it was very difficult. And the reason why there's so many rules, if the sannyasi comes to the city from the east side and it's sunshine, 12 o'clock, then he has to chant certain mantras. If he comes from the west side, then if the weather is such, then you have to chant other mantras. And then you have to offer obeisance. You have like so many. I was reading these rules, so many rules. I was thinking, we have nothing. Our ISKCON is very few rules, actually. Just, you know, bow down a little bit and, you know, don't be so puffed up and don't overeat and, you know, so try to get up for morning programs, and that's about it, you know. Not much rules we have, you know. But Prabhupada, even these rules he gave us, he explains why is this good. It is good because it is good for you. And if you don't follow it, it is not good for you. If you have illicit sex, it is bad for you. It's harmful for you. So this is the one thing we should always remember. The Prabhupada always not just gave the rule without that we should have it without understanding, but also he gave the understanding. Prabhupada gave everything, actually. Prabhupada gave the questions, Prabhupada gives the answers. You know, before, when you watch these videos, how did I join the Hare Krishna movement, you know, I have so many questions, and then I read Srimad Bhagavatam, and all the questions were answered. You know. But Prabhupada, not just that he had all the questions, he had all the answers. He has not all the answers, he had all the questions also. So many questions that we did not know that they exist. So Prabhupada gave everything. Questions, answers, everything. So, Prabhupada continuation from this Indian movement. He said, so what is the use of your mystic powers? He says, suppose you have got the mystic power. You can walk over the water. And he says, so what is the benefit you will get walking in the water? You know, maybe saving the boat. But Prabhupada says here, there's a boat also. I can walk on the river or on the ocean. That does not mean all your questions of your life are solved. Suppose you walk over the water. I cannot walk over the water, but I go to the boat and I pay 4 annas. And he says the difference between you and me is 4 annas. So Prabhupada was very practical. This is another thing which was very nice of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada makes everything very easily, very down to earth. No mystical things. There was this very famous story when Srila Prabhupada was walking around Krishna Balaram temple, and then he installed this bell. So he would walk around with the devotees, and he come to the entrance, and Prabhupada said, I'm seeing, but you are not seeing. Then they walk another round, and then again stop at the gate. And he said, I'm seeing, but you are not seeing. And the third time, I'm seeing, and you are not. The devotees thought, wow, he's seeing Krishna. We don't see Krishna. And Prabhupada put a cane, and he said, this light is still on. It was already morning. Don't waste electricity. So this is Prabhupada's very practical thing, and this is what really attracted me, and still, after so many years, is attracting me to Prabhupada. That is very, very simple and down to earth. There's no big, big show. He's not a showman. He's just a very practical person. We'll see also a little later. So these things immediately Prabhupada cuts. No. What's the use of your mystic flying in the air? Or he said, I can fly in the air also. I just paid the airplane ticket. We use mystic powers. I just stayed 12 hours, Munich to Calcutta. And I was exercising my mystic powers for 500 euros. If I would have to walk, I calculated 8,364 kilometers from Munich to Mayapur. Ooh, that'd be a long walk. Marco Polo, he walked 4 years from Italy to when he met what is his name? Kublai Khan, this Chinese emperor. He walked 4 years, So today we have a mystic powers. If whoever has 500 euros, you can fly from Europe, I don't know, from America, a little more expensive. But Prabhupada made this point very clear. What is the point of this mystic power? This is all material. Better, Prabhupada always has a conclusion to everything, always says, better utilize your time how to realize God. This was the always core of every conversation, of everything. Devotees, or sometimes the guests, they go into, but in Buddhist philosophy, and this, Prabhupada said, always come back to the same point. No, come back to the same practical point. Are you serving God or not? If you're not serving God, this is very harmful for you. So you should serve God. Again, I'm somehow inspired to speak about Prabhupada, particularly Rameshwar Prabhu is here. So there was this famous interview in the San Francisco, an interviewer on television, this is 1967, very early days, and he asked Srila Prabhupada, so you're chanting Hare Krishna, and Hare Krishna means what? And Prabhupada said, if you, we want to, he said, sorry, he said, what is your mission? What do you want to tell us? And Prabhupada said, I want to tell you, if you're not worshipping God, you are on a platform an animal. I was, oh my God, shocked on the national television. I don't know national, or maybe some local television, but television. And Prabhupada says, no, therefore everybody should worship God. So this was the Prabhupada's core message. And again, like another thing which is very important, I will come to the punchline very soon. The point is that the Prabhupada was, I see it is like, once I was in Florida, and then we had to go through some kind of little bit of jungle area, and it's so thick. I don't know if you've been to Florida. Somehow the bushes were so sharp and thick, you cannot kind of penetrate like normally to push. Like you have to cut with the machete. So I was thinking, this is actually what then before Prabhupada came to the West. This verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita about the people of South India. They're very strong. Anybody from South India? Very strong, very stout and strong, Prabhupada, like elephants. But they are in the clutches of the crocodiles of various philosophies, like Buddhism, Jainism, explained Mayavada philosophy, particularly Mayavada down there in Sringeri Math, was at least headquarter of Shankaracharya's school. So the whole world is imbued with various philosophies. From Charvaka's philosophy, Charvaka is a Lokayata philosophy of materialism. Prabhupada quoted this verse, which he may say or he may not say, scholars may agree, don't agree. Somehow or other, you should get ghee and eat it to your satisfaction, because this is the last life. This is the only life. So therefore, meaning enjoy your life as much as you can now. There's no next time. So somehow or other. So this is the materialistic philosophy. Just do it right now. Enjoy right now. Because before that we did not exist. This is also atomistic, or Greeks even were preaching this philosophy, called Greek atomists. Everything is atoms, and then we somehow atoms connected together. We exist, and after we die, there will be nothing. So enjoy now, materialistic philosophy. Then there was all kinds of Buddhist philosophy, Shunya, Mayavada philosophy, of course, Shankaracharyas, and all kinds of different, we have different kinds of philosophies. And therefore Prabhupada was interesting to me. He himself, they asked him, in the early days, we can read it, Swamiji, should we add another mantra for you, because they had the Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. And Prabhupada wrote himself this second mantra. Namaste Saraswati Deve. He's a disciple of Saraswati Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. Gauravani Pracharya. He's spreading the message of Lord Chaitanya in the Western world. How? By trying to defeat Nirvishesha and Shunyavadi. No Mayavadi and no Shunya, no nihilism. So Prabhupada himself wrote, this is my goal. My goal is to stop this nihilism and stop impersonalism. Because ultimately we are all impersonalists, in a sense, of course, those who believe in God, the majority of people, even those who believe in God. And we are all nihilists. People don't care, nowadays people don't care or don't, reckless living. This is nihilism, actually. So Prabhupada came with this machete of Krishna consciousness, of Bhagavatam, and he just cut this dense forest of philosophies, of different lifestyles, of different, religions, and he said, this is the goal of life, and he cleared the way. When you come, sometimes you go to one place and you come after 10 years and you see the road is a little wider, everything is better, more clear. So Prabhupada cleared the way. This is the way to go there. And this is what you should do. It is very, very good for you. And this is another thing. When people ask us, you Hare Krishnas, I said, no, of course, I'm a member of the Hare Krishna movement, but I'm on the boat which going to the right direction. This is all if there's any quality or any good quality or any credit I can take, is I realize this is a good boat to sit in. That's all. Otherwise we don't have any claim of anything else. The boat itself, the path itself, is the best path. So we should never forget this. We should never forget this. And therefore, we should, read Prabhupada's books and learn what Prabhupada gave in his books. Learn how to live and learn the philosophies of life. Because we know the philosophies change the world. Marxism, anybody brought up in a Marxist country, communist country, some guy was sitting there with a beard, right? He was, I want to say homeless, but he was staying with the Engels. He was giving, he was supporting the material, and he wrote books. I think we should liberate, proletariat, the working class people, from this terrible capitalists, tsars or whatever at that time elite was. And we should distribute wealth equally, equal distribution of wealth, equal possession, the government. So this philosophy changed the world. It changed, good part of the world, actually, for many, many years. This philosophy also killed many, many thousands, millions of people. But the point is that philosophies are changing the world. So our philosophy will change the world. Yes, we have a culture too, but our devotees will not change the world. Our philosophy will change the world. So we present our philosophy. This is what we do. Singing a Harinam, in the last 5 years we had 100,000 Harinams I had. But I was thinking, every time I go on Harinam, I said, yes, Harinam is very nice, but we should present, what are we doing? Why are we standing on the street and chanting? Sometimes people, especially if you go in the evening, Friday night, the young guys, they come and make fun and everybody make photo of him. Isn't it? Anybody from Western? They make jokes. But I was thinking, you have no idea what are we doing actually. If you would know what is our philosophy, you'll faint. You'll think, oh my God. So therefore, it is very important to present. First of all, it's very important to understand your self-philosophy. Don't become sentimental. Don't become sentimental, as Prabhupada says. What will your Hari Hari Bol do? Hari Hari Bol, I want to go back to God. Hari Bol is very nice, Harinam is very nice. We have to present the philosophy. This is the philosophy. Why are we chanting? And this is what is the holy name. So this is very important. And first of all, we have to do, accept philosophy in our own heart. There's so many aspects we do not understand. Like for example, this, I've not seen it, at least in my whatever years in ISKCON, that some Mataji said, "Oh, I'm thinking of my husband." He just disappears, and she appears in front of her husband. We don't see this often. Maybe somebody has seen it, but the point is that there's so many things like this, which are as it is, but we accept them. We take from there how can I understand this philosophically? So this is how I can understand this verse, for example. The mystic power means mystical, everything is material, therefore I should concentrate only to serve Krishna. This is not material. And another thing is this, that I should focus on what is important, not on mystic powers, because this is a side effect or sidetrack that we can become, we join ISKCON and we do some austerity. When I was very young, devotee in Vrindavan, and I thought I should go barefoot in December. This is so stupid, barefoot in December in Vrindavan. And I always hit, it's so cold, frozen, and I hit my foot in a stone, and it hurts. And I said, no, it's just Maya. Or you go on book distribution, carry 70 books in your back, and bags are killing my shoulder, and said, no, let it burn. It's for Krishna. It's so stupid. But our thing is not to attain mystic powers or some other crazy things I did. I wanted to sleep like Rupa Goswami on the ground, also on the farm. This is also. But anyways, we don't do this. We do things which are actually favorable to attain Krishna. We are not after mystic powers. We are not after wealth. Now I have to become wealthy. I'm the Hare Krishna devotee. I have to become rich. Or we are not into becoming a big institution, position in the institution. Yes, I want to, I've reached the institutional position and I have reached the, supreme. This is not so. We have our capacities. If somebody has ability to be a whatever, big this or that, go ahead, do it. Have 10,000 million disciples and be whatever a ruler, because this is your capacity. But this should not be the goal of life. This should be the side effect. Like we have this Nebenwirkung, as they say in Germany. Side effect means you take the medicine and it heals you this, but then it hurts your liver. So this is the side effect to become a big position or to become a this and that. Or this is not a goal of life. Even sannyas is not a goal of life. The goal of life is prema pumarta mahan, to develop love for Krishna. This is the goal of life. And this should not be forgotten. Because we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita that all these people, they did not care. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. I don't care of any of this. I only want your devotional service. Janme janme dao oy gora hari ahaitu ki bhakti charane tomar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. Give me janme janme, birth after birth. Ahaitu ki bhakti, just your devotion to your lotus feet. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. Let me see what else I have. Yes. And Prabhupada quoted this verse. This is verse from the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Chaitanya Manjusha. This is also, Prabhupada quoted this verse several times. This is a verse by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he explains what are actually the goals of a Gaudiya Vaishnava. The goal is number one, Aradhya Bhagavan. This is a famous verse. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanyas Taddama Vrindavanam. This is the first goal of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is to be worshipped. This is our ultimate object of worship, Krishna. Nothing else. We can do this and that, but Krishna is our goal of worshipping. Then, along with his transcendental abode, Vrindavan. So Vrindavan and Krishna, these are our goals of our life. Number two, Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vargena Yakalpita. The most pleasing form of worship for the Lord is that which is performed by the gopis in Vrindavan. So Krishna, Vrindavan, gopis. And the last one, but not least, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramana Mamalam Prema Pumarta Mahan. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless authority, Purana Mamalam. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam, very dear to the devotees, because it's a Amalam, there's a pure Vaishnava, pure Purana. Pure Purana. There's the purest. There's so many Puranas, Upanishads and all the Vedas, but this is the essence, as Prabhupada explains. This is a cream of all the Vedic literature. Everybody likes to eat cream, and there's some cream, and you say, oh, I'll take the cream. So, cream of the Vedic literature is Bhagavatam. So we have a Krishna, we have Gopis, we have Vrindavan, we have Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is in our heart, and everything else, yes, if it helps to reach this point, very nice. If it doesn't help, give it up. I don't need it. I don't need it. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mutamidam tatra dharana paraha. This statement Vishwanath Chakravarti said, which is the highest standard at the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's opinion about the highest standard of our values. Our values. These are our values. And Prabhupada says this. This is interesting. I don't want to now be negative, but there was one devotee, he wrote one very esoteric book. He read the esoteric book and he commented on the esoteric book. And this devotee, this ISKCON devotee, and there's some other non-ISKCON devotees who were reading it, and they said that there's lots of plagiarism in this book. He said this book, this statement he took from such and such Baba from Radhakund, and this statement he took from such and such Baba, because they read this book, so they know who wrote what. And he said these statements you cannot find anywhere else, not in the scriptures of Goswamis. So I was thinking about this, we, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we should write our own commentaries on the even esoteric literatures, Goswami literature. We should not copy from, if you want to learn esoteria, go to Radhakund, as I joke with one devotee friend of mine, Forbidden Orchard. We go to the Forbidden Orchard. Zabranjeni voćnjak. Go. That nobody sees me at night. I go and visit such and such guru. No, we have everything. Prabhupada gave us everything, and Prabhupada gave us the system by practice. If you practice, we should realize it ourselves. Like Valmiki Muni, who was telling Valmiki Muni about Ram? He was just meditating, and the whole pastimes appeared to him. So, meaning that we should have faith in Prabhupada's process, that this is the best. And this process will lead me to the Prema Pumarta Mahan. With this process will lead me to the ultimate goal of life. We read every morning about the 10 offenses. At the end, one should carefully, the last, this is a quote from Nectar Devotion, one should carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. And the devotee said, Krishna Prema. This is actually not written in Nectar Devotion, so I don't read it. I don't say it because it's not written in Nectar Devotion. But the point is that to quickly achieve desired success. Prabhupada said this. So we should understand, by this process, even I, can quickly achieve desired success. It's possible. It's not only for the few, elevated souls coming, with the dandas from, with all respects, they're advanced, but for everybody. It's for everybody. The qualification is not, again, to be somebody. The qualification is Trinadapi Sunichana, Tarodapi Suhishna. The qualification is Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim. Lord Chaitanya, there was actually a very nice verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, famous verse, Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga, Shikshartamekam Purusha Puranam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dharim, Kripam Buddhirim, Yastvam Ham Prapadye. So these first two lines, Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga. This is what Lord Chaitanya came to give. Shikshartam, he gave to instructed. Vairagya, renunciation. Vidya, knowledge of what? Nija Bhakti Yoga, of his own Bhakti Yoga. So this is what Lord Chaitanya came to give. Detach yourself from material world and accept this path of Bhakti. And by this, we can achieve all the success. We don't need anybody. We don't need to ask anybody. Everything is here. Everything is written here. If you realize one verse from the Bhagavatam, one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, This is already huge success, And for the last thing, I just wanted to say how Prabhupada was very, in his daily affairs, Prabhupada was very conscious that what leads to Krishna, what is the most important. So we should set our priorities again. What are our values? So this is a very famous, I saw Prabhu yesterday, so please forgive me, and thank you for the inspiration. I wanted to say about my favorite Prabhupada video of all the times. This is a video of Rameshwara Prabhu in Los Angeles temple, when Prabhupada was, they were talking about BBT, money. And Prabhupada was saying, I gave you money, but this is my money, this is not your money, Prabhupada is very, very shrewd, although it was an old man and huge movement, and he was a spiritually most elevated, pure devotee, coming from the spiritual world. Still, Prabhupada was very attentive to the details of his daily affairs. And then Rameshwar Prabhu said, Prabhupada, Gopal Krishna Maharaj wants to, I like this interaction, somehow it's close to my heart. He said, Gopal Krishna Maharaj wanted to borrow or lend $160,000 for the India wants to borrow $160,000 from the North American BBT. And Prabhupada says, I have no objection. And he was writing check further, and then Prabhupada was saying, but Prabhupada, that means that we'll have to delay our printing our 17 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada stood up and he said, no, first books, then you can give him the loan. If you have a surplus of the money, then you can give it to him. Otherwise, first books. And then he said, this is the priority. And he said, you should always remember this. So this is when you require money for printing, there is no question of loan or temple building. This is the focus. So I thought to illustrate this for the end, this Prabhupada was always focused, what is the goal? What is the goal? He could say, okay, let's build this. No, he said, our focus is preaching, our focus is book distribution, so let's focus on this. This is very nice, but first this. So we should, as devotees, we should focus, and what is our value? What are our values in life? What is the most important in my life? What will help me go back to Godhead? What will not help me? If something does not help, Haribol, thank you very much, but not helpful anymore. If something is helpful, Haribol, I'll use it. So whatever it is, we don't care. With this or that, or this place or that place, or do this service or that service. We do what is needed for Krishna. We do what is anushilanam, favorable to Krishna. What is favorable to Krishna? Favorable to Krishna is to preach, distribute books, so I distribute books. Who likes to stand on the street? Excuse me, no. Excuse me, no. Excuse me, no. Who likes it? Nobody likes it. But for Prabhupada, we'll stand. Excuse me, sir, I'm in my late 50s. Hi, how's it going? I have to, but for Prabhupada, I will do it, Because Prabhupada says, I blindly follow my Guru Maharaj. I don't know what will be the result. I don't know. And I don't care what is the result. We should always, as the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming in front of Prakash, what is the name? Prakashananda Saraswati, the Mayavadi sannyasis. And he said, my dear sir, Prakashananda, you are dancing with this sentimentalist. Why are you doing this? I mean, we are sannyasis. Sannyasis should be studying the Shastra and not dance and play musical instruments. And Lord Chaitanya said, this is a famous verse, that my Guru Maharaj found me a fool. Murka tumi tomara nahiga Vedanta adhikara. I have no adhikar to study Vedanta. You're murk, you're a fool. So therefore you chant here. And he said, I don't know what will be the result. I'm just chanting, and this chanting makes me mad. So this is the attitude of a devotee. I don't know, is it whatever it is. I follow what Prabhupada says, and I will do this. And those who do follow, they see the results are actually there. Surprise, surprise. Actually works. Wow, it's amazing. It works. So we should follow Prabhupada. We should have faith in Prabhupada, and we should focus ourselves as a conclusion, what is our goal of life, what are our values, and not deviate from these values. I thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So if anybody, Prabhu, would you like to make a comment or any questions?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, so wonderful. We often hear this expression to raise the bar or lower the bar, making access to something easier, and we're often preached, and for good reasons, that as followers of Prabhupada, we should be careful not to lower the bar, right? Not to make the standards that he set lower in the name of getting more people to come to ISKCON, for example. Can you say something, though, about the equally dangerous risk of raising the bar,
not lowering the bar,
raising the bar over and above standards that, for example, Prabhupada set on XYZ topics?
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes, exactly. As much as there's too much left, there's too much right. As much as too much open. Is that an open? As much as too much up, as also too much down. So again, we should be optimal and just follow what Prabhupada said. We should not invent anything, as there's when we, in the 90s when we were bhaktas, they said, don't add anything, don't subtract anything. So just don't add anything, don't subtract, because this is also equally unattractive. For me, for example, I'm, maybe a little bit more conservative side, but to me it's not attractive. This too much, too rigid. Prabhupada was not rigid, actually. There was no rigid. So yes, both sides should be very attentive. We should not be holier than thou, as they say in the Bible. I am now, practice all the rules, because this will lead back to the smartaism. This is what my humble and not so humble observation. That this will lead to the smarta Brahmanism, and then Westerners will be suddenly not qualified to worship the deities, or, not allowed to this and this and that. So we should again always be optimal and see what actually Prabhupada says about this. What was Prabhupada's opinion? And Prabhupada was, as we can see it, Prabhupada was quite lenient in many things. Of course, we can say one argument is, well, we want to establish Varnashram Dharma. Yes? But on the Prabhupada terms, everything has to be on Prabhupada terms. How Prabhupada dealt with it. So this is something what I don't know. But we should look always in the middle, as the Buddha. Lord Buddha was sitting on the bank of the river, and there was a Veena teacher was sitting in a boat, and boat was passing, and then he was teaching a student, if you tight the string too tight, it will break. If you loosen it, it will not produce proper sound. So you say you have to produce the exact sound. So this is exactly what it is. If you tight it, we say no, we are becoming, then it becomes Hinduism, or becomes even worse, smarta Brahmanism, as I thought. This is not attractive. This is not attractive. This is not what Prabhupada. Actually, I actually listened to one lecture a long time ago. 90-something, Hridayananda Maharaj actually gave a lecture in Alachua, and he said we should be very careful not to become Hindus, because the Hinduism will not change the world. And this is again one point which is important. Yes, we have to practice, we have to be, Hare Krishnas, but we should be careful, because in this way we will not change the world. Our goal is to change the world. Even Bhakti-Vikas Swami recently in one lecture, he says that the movement in the beginning was the Hare Krishna movement, but we should be careful not to become a Hare Krishna religion. So we are movement, we do things. Look at each devotee. I was just laughing in my own heart. Each devotee is dressed differently, each. There's no devotee dressed the same clothes. If you go to, I was many years ago to Swaminarayan, they're very most clean in Gujarat. They have like amazing ashram, cleanest in the world. And they're all dressed exactly the same clothes. Grihastas are dressed in this kind of blue, grayish. and the brahmachari is dressed in orange, and Mataji's brahmacharini is orange. Same, and look at the devotees, all kinds of, jackets. Somebody has a chadar, somebody has a blue hat, somebody doesn't have a hat, So this is the Hare Krishna movement, So we should consider this, the Hare Krishna movement. Anything, Mataji says? I do not hear.
When you were mentioning that Prabhupada gave us everything, this is also in my mind a lot. And for example, I just read in Bhagavad Gita 4:31 in the Purport, Prabhupada says in the end that actually Krishna consciousness is solving all the problems of material life. And I'm meditating on that a lot, and I'm thinking like, then we have to prove that actually if we living this philosophy, every single problem of material life will be solved. And then you were mentioning the focus that Prabhupada was putting on the books. And I wanted to ask you, how would you suggest me to deal with that? Like this mindset of proving actually right that, like in a scientific way, that this philosophy will solve all the problems, and the focus that Prabhupada actually put to distribute books.
Well, there are two ways to prove. The proof is intellectual proof, and there's a personal proof or bodily proof. You can prove by you becoming, as Prabhupada says, walking Bhagavatam. We have a book Bhagavatam, and we become walking Bhagavatams, meaning that we are the emblem, we are the representative of what's written in the Bhagavatam. And therefore, I was even thinking when I was preparing this lecture, because I didn't have time to prepare for everything, the topics, so many interesting topics. But one of the topics is just what you just said. We have to prove also in the beginning, okay, Bhagavatam solves all, or philosophy, or process of Krishna consciousness solves our problems, meaning that we are not mental anymore, or we are not whatever, or we have devotees who are very, very mental before they join and suddenly became saints after some years. This is amazing. And so many examples how we transformed from the frog to a, shiny prince. All of us, most of us, I'm included, and that we have to first of all prove to ourselves this really works. This is amazing, And then after in process, then we should see after many, many years of Krishna consciousness, we should see actually, did I develop this love of Krishna? And we should try to see, this process is perfect, something's wrong with me. Let me do my rounds better, let me do my service better, let me do my focusing better. And then we want to see people after many, many years in Krishna consciousness, they've developed love for Krishna. This is also preaching. Preaching means that, wow, it works. So this is what, one day, I had some little situation in my life, 10, 15 years ago, and I was a little bit I was a little bit confused, confusing situation. I didn't know how to, and one devotee sent me a letter and he said, Jaya Sachi, you are not the body. And he's like, wow, this struck me after 20 years, 20 years of Krishna consciousness, and I didn't think about this. Wow, I'm actually not the body. It takes some time to be dull-headed, it takes some time to realize things. Practice Krishna consciousness earnestly and seeing that in the places where you don't have a taste or you don't see, how can I improve this area? There was one, some years ago I followed some business people, management, because I was a manager in some temples, and this name was, I forgot his name. He was LG. He was CEO. I forgot his name. Anyways, he wrote this book and I read, and he said, when he took over the company, the first thing, because the company had so many branches, they're producing the light bulbs, the plastic bottles, everything, so many different TV stations, the different kinds of branches of the company. So the first thing what he did is he did a 1-2 system. A 1-2 system he eliminated everything which is not number 1 or number 2 sales in the world. Eliminate it. It's a waste of money. So focus on something which is what you're good at. Focus on something which is you're really, and just go for it. Like I gave up, like for example, I tried to play harmonium many years and I just gave up. It's not my thing. But for the speak, I realized I'm just talking, you know. So I should actually do something. And I went to university and I studied 3 years because I wanted to learn how to talk. This is my service. So what are you good at, and go for it. Some people like to chant. I like to chant also, and I do some here in Mayapur. I chant some number of rounds. Some people like to read. Some people like to, do what you're good at and become perfect. Shravanam, kirtanam, vishnam, svaranam, padasevanam, atmanam, archanam, atmanivedanam. Just pick one of those or few of those which you really like, and go for it. You cannot do everything. We cannot be everything, We can be just little, whatever we can. Okay, I think, anything else? Yes, Prabhu. I don't know if this is the answer, but some answer here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What is ideal? First, detach from material things and then attach to this principle, or both happens simultaneously, or just attach to the higher test, then detachment will automatically happens.
Thank you. What is the verse? Jnanam chayada haitukam, Vasudevi Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. So when somebody practices Krishna consciousness, automatically jnana and vairagya, jnana chayada, detachment and knowledge automatically develops. So it goes all together.
But how to see when we practice the Krishna consciousness, then many offenses are also there because of attachment in the material world. So
I wouldn't care much about offenses, This is I find, of course we should be careful, but I find these offenses are sorry to say, like in Christianity you'll go to hell, And if you don't do it, you will go to hell. Offenses, yes, we know there are offenses, I commit them all the time, all day, but I should not be bothered too much with offenses. I should look for positives and try not to be grossly, offensive, like breaking the principles, and I hope Holy Name will rectify it. But I think, there's one of my favorite, before I joined, my favorite character was Andrei Rublev, and he's from Russia here. And he was a painter of the icons in the church. And he was a very good painter, but then he stopped painting because he said, I don't want to scare people with paintings from hell. Because the churches, they wanted him to paint the hell because they come and they say, you see this? You go to hell if you don't give us money or whatever, the story. So this mentality, that's why in the Krishna consciousness movement, yes, offenses, I bow down to don't try to make them, but I should not be too much scared with offenses. Krishna consciousness is wonderful. Why should I be concerned about offenses, burn in hell, no. Yes, offenses, I make them every day, all day, but Krishna consciousness is so powerful, maybe I will overcome them. I think, since I have a microphone, also there's a lots of, this is the other side, there's a third side actually, which I hear also a lot lately, last 10, 15 years, that unless you realize your position in the Goloka Vrindavan, you will never go to Goloka Vrindavan, you will constantly make offenses. No, we just practice Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada will take care of. We have a faith in Prabhupada. If Prabhupada would bring this movement to just for 5 people who don't make offenses in the whole world, we have how many thousands of people are walking here, and only 5. This is like a Jehovah's Witness. Only 1,000. How many? 14,000 are allowed to go to hell. Everybody goes back to Godhead. Prabhupada says here, there's actually in the 11th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the verse, Tate nukampam susimikshamanam, with Hridayananda Maharaj is paraphrasing Sridhar Swami. He said, if somebody just stay alive in Krishna consciousness, then he's guaranteed go back to Godhead. So just stay alive, that's all. And stay alive means follow the rules and regulations and practice and chant. So we should be very positive about Krishna consciousness, not this. I personally, in my, when the young devotees are asking questions like this, I said, no. Just positive. Krishna consciousness is wonderful, it's beautiful. Look at this Mayapur, it's a beautiful place. Nice dates, date trees, palm trees. Why would I care? Why would I break? But at the same time, of course, we are not rascals. Thank you. So, I thank anything else? I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in the Sridham Mayapur. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar. Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.